Marketing flopping, foul baiting defense, commercials, money, load management, superstar whistles, rigged officiating, sports betting, season like TV presentation, bad coaching, stain accounts, traveling, dribble, three. These are all things that people love to complain about in today's NBA, and a lot of things that people do not like. But how did we get to this point of the NBA being a very growing and flourishing league to now declining in viewership numbers, TV ratings, and the overall general public's perception of the league has decreased? Was it a product of the league's management? Was it caused by the players, the fans? Hello everyone, I'm Mason, and today we're going to find out if the NBA as a whole really sucks. The first step of the general public's perception of the league is marketing. Marketing is how the league promotes the game. This can include TV advertisements, social media highlights, clips, articles, etc. How the NBA markets its league is a lot of the times they use the players, meaning that like other leagues such as the NFL where they market the teams, the NBA markets the players using their biggest names, biggest superstars to promote the game. This is a very effective way to get people to like certain players. However, the way that the game is promoted at times online makes people say, I'm from Minnesota. Anthony Edwards is a really cool player to watch the highlights of. I want to watch their game. That's how the NBA markets their players. Now let's use a brand new viewer as an example. A little 8-year-old kid named Mason. Crazy where I got that name from, right? And Mason is on his mom's iPad and he sees some NBA highlights. You imagine for this young kid, him watching the NBA highlights and seeing how athletic, fast, and incredibly skilled these players are. That's going to make him want to watch the games. So after making the people want to watch, what do they actually see when they watch the games? A lot of people's perception is a lot of traveling, a lot of bad defense, a lot of terrible officiating, rigged games, and a lot of three-pointers. But to the casual viewer, this actually can be a bad thing. The casual viewer may not fully grasp the defense and how hard it is to guard a 5-out offense in today's NBA, the traveling, not understanding the gather step. I actually had a Twitter interaction the other day with someone that said that the NBA should get rid of the gather step because since they're the most skilled level of basketball, they shouldn't need it. And it was actually a very good interaction, a good conversation to have. However, would this really solve anything? So maybe when 8-year-old Mason sees this, he'll be very entertained and enjoy watching the games because of how skilled and fast-paced and athletic these players are. However, when 23-year-old Tom watches the games, maybe he won't enjoy it as much because he used to watch basketball 10 years ago when he was younger, and the way the product has changed now, he may not like it anymore. So when people see today's NBA and they see the product, they have very differing opinions on it. And like I said, someone that may be younger may enjoy the game more because the high-powered offense is involved in the game. However, a lot of older viewers may be being pushed away due to the fact that they don't like the new era of basketball compared to the more physical era of the 2000s and 1990s. When people see today's game, they see every score going over 100 points. The average points per game of a game in the 23-24 season was 114.2 points per game. Part of this is the sheer volume of three-pointers and fast pace of today's game, but a lot of viewers don't like how the game is so offensively driven. Foul baiting and giving the offensive players the benefit of the doubt in a lot of situations causes some of these viewers to feel frustrated watching games, knowing that no matter how good a defender a player is, the offensive player will always have the advantage. In 2004, the NBA banned hand checking. In 2001 to 2002 season, the defensive 3-second violation was added to prevent players from just standing in the paint on defense. There were a lot of narratives going around that the Celtics ruined the NBA due to their offense of literally just moving the ball around, running plays to find wide open threes, and no one can find an answer to stop it. Is it the threes that ruin the game? No, it's not. It's their incredible ball movement and their basketball IQ that makes them seem so unbeatable in a way that other teams may not possess. When we watch the Golden State Warriors dominate the NBA during the time when LeBron James and the Cavaliers team started slowly falling apart, the Golden State Warriors were so dominant, and it wasn't just from the three-pointers. It was the same thing. They outsmarted and out-schemed all of their opponents because no one can find a way to stop them. The weird thing is, during those dominant Warriors years, the TV ratings were actually a lot higher. But ever since COVID, the NBA's ratings have been incredibly low. Now, part of the reason the TV ratings were so high was because of LeBron James being arguably the greatest player of all time, and playing in 8 straight NBA finals was a huge reason for why the TV ratings were so high in each and every one of these series. When you have a superstar player like him, or like Kobe, like Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan playing in the NBA finals that is extremely marketable, your ratings will be a little higher. The state of today's NBA can best be summed up in one word: parity. Parity, by definition, is the state or condition of being equal, especially regarding status or pay. The main part of this that we're looking at is regarding status. When you look at today's NBA, you don't have the same number of championship favorites that we did in previous seasons. Since 2019, a different team has won the NBA Finals every single season, so we have had 6 different champions in that span of time. The problem with this is people can't get overly attached to those dominant teams in the finals, such as the Golden State Warriors and Cleveland Cavaliers and San Antonio Spurs of the late 2000s to early 2010s. Because of how much parity is in the NBA today, you never know who's going to make the finals. For basketball fans, it might actually be a good thing. For the average casual viewer who just kind of flips through the channels and sees the game on, it actually might not be as good of a thing because they might not be as familiar with the people playing. This also goes into marketing. The marketing of today's NBA players is a lot more based towards the younger generations, while some of the older generation, they just like their team, versus the marketing is done towards the players. The older audience is not catered to in this sense, which for TV ratings, a lot of the older generation will actually be a huge part of that. Another big issue with the TV ratings and viewership is the games are so hard to watch. I personally have NBA League Pass, and I've noticed that because of the place I live, I cannot watch Indiana Pacers, Minnesota Timberwolves, or Chicago Bulls games either home or away because of blackout restrictions. This is a huge issue for people that live between 2 cities, as they cannot watch either team. So let's go back to 8-year-old Mason. He wants to watch these games. How is he going to do it? If he's fortunate enough to live in the state of Minnesota, he's able to watch Minnesota Timberwolves games on TV. That's great. What if he sees Victor Wembanyama on his highlights and really likes Victor Wembanyama? Well, the problem is the Spurs are not on national television a lot. So then what? What's the next step? Does he go to NBA League Pass? Or what if he lives in Minnesota? He's a Timberwolves fan. All of their away games, he might not be able to watch on TV. They may not get the game. He may not be able to watch on League Pass either because of blackout restrictions. So then what's the next step for him? Illegal streaming has ruined a lot of viewership numbers, as so many people have to resort to this, as the NBA does not make their product very easy to consume. So after considering all of these steps, how today's players play, of foul baiting, trying to get to the line, the offensive advantages, the IQ, the fast pace, the 3-pointers, what is the viewer's takeaway when watching the game? Well, there's very mixed feelings. Huge NBA fans may just enjoy the product for what it is and the parity in the league, but the casual viewer may watch this and just see some teams getting the benefit of the whistle, standing around chucking 3-pointers. They may not like the gather step in today's NBA and the frequency of uncalled travels, as it seems that refs have pushed away from calling them as much. They don't like the dribbling, they don't like carrying, and it has strayed away a lot from the older sense of the game. As I said before, the older generation is actually very important when it comes to TV ratings, and especially those middle-aged people, as the younger generation, anywhere under 20 years old, may not watch games with a TV. If they use these illegal streaming sites, the numbers will not count. So let's say little 8-year-old Mason really likes watching the game that he got to watch. Will he be able to watch another game? Depending on his blackout restrictions and favorite teams, he's not going to be able to watch the game, so he'll be a very sad little kid. Let's say 23-year-old Tom is just not that into the NBA, if he's a fan of a team like the Chicago Bulls, they may not be on national television very often at all, and he may not feel inclined to pay for NBA League Pass. And because of how many games are in a season, he may not be able to keep up with the league as much. And due to how much parity is in the NBA, he's not going to know who's the dominant team, as there may be like 6. So there's no true number one super team and no true dominant team as we've seen in previous years, and there's no dynasties. Sports betting has also been a huge issue in the NBA, as it can seriously be one of the biggest takeaways of the game. It seems that some referees genuinely have it out for certain players. Scott Foster and Chris Paul is an example. For those of you who are more in tune with the NBA, Chris Paul, especially in his prime, was one of the NBA's best point guards. In games reffed by Scott Foster since 2008, Chris Paul is 3-17. And for a player who has played on very good teams, it's impossible to believe how this works. You may think it's a little insane that he has that bad of a record, but it gets even crazier than that. In 2002, in the Western Conference Finals between the Sacramento Kings and the Los Angeles Lakers, in Game 6, with the Kings being up 3-2 in the series, the Lakers shot 18 more free throws than the Kings, have them win the game, and the Lakers would then go on to win the series. And the reasoning behind this was to increase TV ratings. Now, the problem with this is Tim Donaghy was the name of the ref. He was also involved in another scandal in which he was betting on games in the 2006 to 2007 season, where he would get paid to make certain teams win or cover the spread of the game. Now, the insane part of this is Scott Foster, the ref that we just mentioned about Chris Paul being 3-17 in the games that he referees, has 134 phone calls logged between 2006 and 2007 with, guess who? Tim Donaghy. The reason this is such a problem is Tim Donaghy only had called any other ref no more than 13 times, but he called Scott Foster a whopping 134 times during that season. And on top of that, we just had NBA player Jontay Porter, brother of Nuggets sharpshooter Michael Porter Jr., get banned for life from the NBA for putting money on his unders, on his points, threes made, assists, rebounds, because he wanted to make extra money instead of working his way up in the NBA. There are so many issues with the gambling being promoted in today's NBA. Me personally, that is my biggest issue with the league, is gambling being promoted. That is one of the biggest takeaways when watching the games, is seeing all the betting and sports books advertisements such as FanDuel and DraftKings, and NBA players such as LeBron James star in these advertisements to promote the betting sites. Overall, if you've watched the NBA in the past few seasons, you may have seen a lot of changes to the game, such as James Harden evolving the dribbling and gather step in the league, Steph Curry evolving the three-pointers, LeBron James starting the player empowerment movement of being able to leave a bad front office, and more. However, today's league is perceived by the public to be a bad product with lots of bad officiating, weird rule changes, and just not the same game that people enjoyed back in the day. Can the NBA take steps to revive the TV viewership and revive that old audience that used to enjoy the game? Who knows? I do think that the NBA is still in a very good place right now with having such a competitive league. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because you see that, John? It says 961. I need to say it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time, guys. Peace.